Hello. This is, obviously the next episode of My Corner, and as I said last episode, I was not going to hate on the Patriots so much this time, so don't worry. There isn't going to be some ranting and raving about the Patriots. What I really want to do is go over the 2007 NFL season and see exactly what was kind of okay and what's kind of stupid, first what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at division records and whatnot, and first I would like to start off by saying that the AFC South was probably the most dominant division in the whole league, with, three teams going to the playoffs from their respected division, and they all had double-digit wins. And even the Texans, who went 8-8, had a winning record. So the whole entire division, it was, nobody was losing. Well, they obviously lost, but that's how it goes. But anyway, as I'm looking over this, and I noticed some things. The Dolphins fired Coach Cam Cameron, and obviously it kind of makes sense. 1-15, but it was his first year. What do you expect? The team sucks, always has, And then you got the Jets. I'm wondering why Eric Mangini hasn't been fired yet. They went 4-12, and they haven't exactly been doing great the past couple seasons before that, and they just keep getting worse. Why is Eric Mangini still a coach? Don't ask me. The Bills, they went 7-9. Obviously, the Patriots in the AFC East have an easy division, so that owns up to 6 of their 16 wins. Now, moving over to the west side of the coast, farther away from me, obviously. You got the Chargers, the only team in the AFC West going into the playoffs at 11-5, and at first, I was surprised as how poorly the Chargers were doing at the beginning of the season. I mean, I was surprised that the Packers were able to come back and win against them. That was nuts. And they also had a slightly easy division. I mean, come on, the Broncos went 7-9. That's the closest to them. And then you got two 4-12 teams, the Chiefs and the Raiders. Both, I believe the Chiefs fired a couple of their coaches. They didn't fire the head coach. They didn't fire Herm Edwards, but they fired a couple other ones. In the AFC North, you have the Steelers at 10-6 going in the playoffs, but right behind them you have the Browns also at 10-6. But the only reason why the Browns didn't win that division is because the Steelers beat them twice. And then the Bengals and the Ravens, Bengals were 7-9, and the Ravens were 5-11, which is probably why Brian Billick was fired. The seasons only keep getting worse. Well, actually, no. From last year, they were dominant to this year, 5-11. Something had to happen. And then in the AFC South, you have the Colts at 13-3. I already went over this. The Jaguars at 11-5, Titans at 10-6, and Texans at 8-8. That's pretty freaking crazy. So as you can see, the AFC was not bad. Which is usually always the case. The NFC isn't as good as the AFC, which sucks. But as a football fan, just basic football, as I do watch football every Sunday or Saturday or Thursday, whenever it is on, you kind of sit there and you go, well, I kind of wish both conferences were the same, like same strength, because it'd make for a more interesting Pro Bowl, more interesting Super Bowl, more interesting playoffs, because people always think, here's interesting games in the AFC, and we got dominant teams in the NFC, and obviously the NFC is going to get their ass kicked in the Super Bowl. That's usually what people think, and it's been proven in the past 10 years only 2 NFC teams have won the Super Bowl, I believe. Yeah. If that's not, actually, past 10 Super Bowls, if you will, 3 NFC teams have won the Super Bowl, and that's pretty sad. Alright, now on to the NFC, the weaker side of the NFL. The dominant division in the NFC would have been the NFC East, obviously, as they also had 3 they also had three teams going into the playoffs. As you know, you have the Cowboys at 13-3, the Giants at 10-6, and the Redskins at 9-7. Not exactly a great record, but the Redskins are on fire now. And then you have the Eagles at 8-8. Again, they're all winning records. You know, how could that division that division is probably the second best division in the league. Then you go over to the West Coast and the NFC. You have the Seahawks at 10-6 making the playoffs, and then you have the surprisingly Cardinals at 8-8, and the 49ers at 5-11. Who they kept Coach Mike Nolan. You know, they got a new general manager, but they kept Mike Nolan. I don't know. Good idea, bad idea. The guy's been there for 3 years now. He hasn't been able to turn the 49ers around yet. Why keep him? I don't know. The Rams, 3-13. So that division kind of sucked, to tell you the truth. So the Seahawks actually had trouble with that division too because of the Cardinals, and the Cardinals did give them a run for their money, which was good because it's about time the Cardinals start doing something. Then of course you got in the NFC North, you got the Packers at 13-3 going into the playoffs at the number 2 seed, and you got the Vikings at 8-8. They actually had a chance to make a playoff run, but because they lost last Sunday, and not only the fact that they lost last Sunday, they also had to have the Redskins lose in order for them to go. So, the Vikings, they almost made it though. They were doing good there towards the end. And then you have the Lions and Bears both at 7-9. Looks like John Kitna didn't live up to his little 10-6 promise, right? And then you got in the NFC South, you got the Buccaneers, 9-7 making the playoffs. That's the top of the division. It's probably the worst division in the league, other than the AFC East. I don't want to go there, okay? That is by far horrible. Patriots are lucky. But in the NFC South, you got, as I already said, the Bucs at 9-7. And then the Panthers and the Saints both at 7-9. The Saints had a chance of making the playoffs. The Saints had a chance of making the playoffs, but the Redskins and the Vikings both had to lose, which one of them lost, but Redskins didn't. And the Falcons at 4-12. Well, and then the coach, Bobby Petrino or whatever the hell his name is, he resigned or whatever. What the fuck? Okay, dude, it wasn't your fault what happened, okay? It's not your fault that some douchebag decided to go kill dogs for a living and while doing football on the side. It seemed like he was doing dogs as his first career. Let's kill dogs. That's great. So it's not your fault that you guys lost your greatest player or the greatest asset in Michael Vick to turn out that you guys have pretty shitty luck. So the fact that you guys won 4 games after probably being ridiculed by almost every sports writer about Michael Vick playing for the Falcons, I have to say congratulations. But that is overall, that is both standings for both the NFC and the AFC. And as you can see, things are obviously a little lopsided, more towards the AFC is a little bit better, as you can tell, and more so it's been like that for years. And